Okay, this question is from Soccer Person. Your question is, what are some good ways to motivate and some things that you can do every practice that's going to help turn the season around for your team? I love this question because I think that this is my jam, right? These types of questions. There are 4 things you want to do every practice, and they are, 5 things, including warm up, right? 10 to 15 warm up. And then if you're for juggling, I think juggling, getting everyone relaxed and getting just fundamental, right? Juggling, super important. You don't have to include it. That's on you. Then it's possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, and then bringing in goals very close and making the field narrow. And then it's 3 different teams, king of the hill style, playing to big goals, and the team that's sitting out acts as bumpers on the outside, right? They got 1 touch, and that's it. If you do this every practice, then they're gonna naturally, right? This practice is so effective because it replicates the essentials of the game. And I know you have a soccer background, but the second reason it's so effective is because when my coach, I had a coach, he was a Gatorade, multiple times he was Gatorade Coach of the Year, and he would run this training on us every single practice, and we would start to understand the rhythm of how the practice would go, and then he would do slight variations. So there's a little bit of we'd have to adapt a little bit, but since we knew the format, we started to look forward to it, and we knew that we were going to play at the end. So it was a pattern, right? It's warm up, possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, then playing. And with this tempo, it's like when people know kind of the game plan, then they're going to become, it's like they're going to be in tune with it. There's a tempo to the practice that it's hard to put into words, but there's a natural flow, right? Like, think about a game. All you're doing is keeping possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, and then like attacking and defending and keeping possession. So the game at the end, you do, it's the culmination. It's like it's the build up to the 3 teams playing. And since you have 3 teams, when they play, right, it's super competitive, because if you only split your team up into 2 teams and they're just playing against each other, there's no repercussions. There's no there's no risk or reward. When you have 3 teams and you don't cover, you don't mark up, right, then you get off, and no team, right, like it fosters a natural competitiveness. So this is what I think that you should do, and make sure you split the teams up into 3, right? Make sure that there's a team sitting out and that act as bumper players with 1 touch, because that keeps them engaged instead of them just sitting off to the side, right? Split the team up into 3, bring the full-size goals in close, right? Close enough so that there's a lot of goals being scored, and this is going to make them more resilient, because once a team gets knocked off, they're going to have to bring it for the next, right? They don't want to get knocked off anymore. So this is going to help with their mindset of playing on the field. It's like, okay, you're a goal down, then just keep on playing hard. And if they're kids, right, this style is going to increase their natural competitiveness too, because no one's going to want to, I know when I was playing, right, you never want to be sitting out. You always want to be playing if you love playing, right? I think that's true for most players. So, right, just follow the pattern. Finishing on goal, right? Possession, you could do 1 of 3 possession games. You could do 2 team possession, and then you start to limit the touches. So 2 touch, 1 on the takeover, right? When I say 1 on the takeover, that means when one team steals it back from the other team, they have an extra touch since they won it back. Then you could go 1 touch, 1 on the takeover. You might not be there since some of these kids are, don't have some formal training. So just start with unlimited touch when you have 2 teams playing for possession, and then you could go, if they're really playing well and moving the ball, then you could restrict the touch limit to 2 touch with 1 on the takeover. I think that should be sufficient. The other 2 possession games are 3 team possession. If you've got pennies, either 2 different colors of pennies, basically make it so that you have 3 different teams total, and then you have 2 of the teams playing monkey in the middle with 1 of the teams, right? And I think that's this 3-team philosophy really encourages great play. The third game is 2-team possession with gates along the field that you make with cones, flat cones, and then to score, you gotta pass through the cones to score a goal, right? These are the 3 different types of possessions. You could make like 4 or 5 gates along the field, and what's gonna start to happen is, right, if their players are smart, then you go back and forth in the goal to score points. Then when a defender comes to pressure, they're gonna move the point of attack to a different gate, and this is gonna help you on the field, right? Attack from different, if there's a cluster of defense, then your team's gonna be able to start rapidly moving the goal, moving the ball from one side of the field, and just be able to quickly shift your point of attack. Finishing on goal. If you search Mark Cintron, Cintron, or just search Puerto Rico versus Spain, Mark Cintron, Cintron, this is a demonstration of what the finishing drill should look like, right? This is called Slotsville. You do 10 minutes of Slotsville, 5 minutes of Volleysville. Volleysville is you're starting higher than the 18, maybe 5 or 6 yards outside of the 18. Your players, they line up in a line with the balls in their hand, and they stand, right? They stand facing. You stand facing the goal, and then the line lines up, and they hand you the ball, and then you throw the ball over the head. They're facing you. You throw the ball over the head, and they turn around, and then they one-time volley, right? They time it right with the bounce, one-touch volley into the net, right? So that's 5 minutes of Volleysville. Then crossing and finishing. You have 4 lines total, right? 2 crossing lines, 2 attacking lines. The crossing lines have the balls. They're alternating, right? Every cross, they're alternating. No whistle. Your attacking lines, they crisscross their runs. They're the ones who are finishing, right? All the lines are rotating, and when the serving lines, they want to play the ball slightly to themselves at an angle so that when they cross it in, it's easier. I remember I used to play the ball slightly to the right and then try to serve a cross in, and my coach was like, just play yourself slightly at an angle towards the goal to make the cross easier for yourself. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you don't have a backstop behind your goal, you might need to reset the balls at the lines 2 or 3 times during this crossing and finishing drill, right? And then from there, bring the balls closer, split the team up into 3, and you could choose 3 captains, and those 3 captains can pick their teams. And these kids, right, they might pick their friends, but you're going to start to notice that the best kid's going to start getting picked first. And you can actually use that to decide who's going to start the game, because if the best kids are smart, right, they know who the best players are. And usually your first 11 kids picked are going to be the best players on the team, and those are the kids who should play for a majority of the time, right? So that's just another strategy that you can use, right? One more time. Warm-up, possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, playing the big goals. I like that 4-3-3 you're going to run. I think that's a simple thing to help execute. You want to make sure that they understand what their shape not only looks like, their formation, but their formation defensively in 4-3-3 and their formation 4-3-3 attacking. Because once they know their attacking shape and defensive shape, then they can break the rules, right? You got to understand the rules of how their formation is supposed to look. So then they say, oh, okay, now I know where I'm supposed to be when I'm defending, right? They got to understand defending as a team is more about, their spacing, and they got to condense and slide towards their goal when they're defending, and then open up passing lanes, dribbling lanes, and then, so then they can start making good runs, but only until they know what their defensive shape looks like and their attacking shape looks like, then they can execute that 4-3-3 more effectively. The other thing I'll say, that when you show them what that shape looks like, use cones to show it. I've noticed that players, and me personally, when coaches write it out on a whiteboard or a chalkboard, whatever, or on a pen and paper, it's harder for them to visualize, even though they understand it. You're gonna help them understand what that shape looks like if you use physical objects, right? So I'm telling you, I promise this is gonna help them. It's gonna help you run a more effective practice. If anything, they're just gonna have more fun looking forward to practice. Warm up, possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, playing in big goals. An hour, hour 15, right? You could get that done. Maybe hour 30. Yeah, this is a very fun practice. This is a practice I personally look forward to every time, right? You want the kids buzzing, their energy. You got to encourage them. Make sure you're always encouraging good play, good finishes on goal, good possession, good ball movement, and that should help. What else? You start with that, right? If that's not working, then I got some more stuff for you. But reach out with any questions. All right, thank you.